Man, what a morning. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm sure you heard the news. Melissa has intensified even more. Look at the lightning. Those little white dots. That is a sign of a very warm core, record breaking warm core. Pressure now under 900 millibars. And winds 180. Doesn't get much worse than that. I'm editing a couple more things here while we go live, but man, I just hope everybody in Jamaica is prepared for this. This is a historic, once in a lifetime. No one's ever seen nothing like this, especially there, hardly anywhere. One of the strongest hurricanes on record ever. It's just awful what we're watching here. So let me do a couple more clicks here, and we'll go over all the latest. Get a couple chats up here. We'll get the chats going here just so we can see what everybody's talking about. We have a lot of contacts in Jamaica that have been messaging us, letting us know what's going on, and the flooding is happening already pretty bad. A lot of power outages already. The winds are just going to be something like we've never seen. You're talking 180 miles an hour. You're talking elevation on top of that. And the higher you go, the stronger the winds. That's something we don't usually see. We saw it with Helene. Helene was not 180 miles an hour when it reached the mountains. But the higher up you go, the winds are just a lot faster. So we're talking a landfall potentially 170, 75, 180 miles an hour, 200 plus wind gusts. And as this scoots across that 25, 50 mile island, those elevations are going to even magnify some of the winds. Okay, so I know the hurricane force winds only go out 30 miles from center, but you raise up a little bit that elevation, I think we could see some higher winds even farther away from that 30 miles. So, but this is it. I mean, the landfall is within the next couple hours. It did not go west. The hurricanes wobble. They sometimes the eye is not the true center as they rotate around. The track has been pretty solid the last couple days. The wording for the National Hurricane Center, just as bad as it can get, basically. Extremely life-threatening situation. Take action now. I doubt anybody there is watching us. I'm sure they're hunkered down, I hope. I do know, and I've heard from several people on ground that not everybody has taken it serious. And I refer back to Florida. There's a stubbornness sometimes because so many times in the past storms turn and they're not as bad as the media, make it out to be, and some folks chose to stay. Ian, this morning, Shelley mentioned that to me too. So we have, we're just going to have to hope for the best. Just amazing that this is happening, to tell you the truth. The power of the Caribbean and the rapid intensification. But for Jamaica, remain sheltered. Catastrophic flash flooding, landslides, destructive winds, widespread infrastructure damage, power, communication outages, isolated communities. I've already saw a bunch of post storm chasers that I follow and others that backup generators are not working. Even at some nice resorts that advertise backup generators, they're not working. So there's going to be a lot of folks, cut off from communications, especially with no power. Life-threatening storm surge. I posted a graphic on that. So many people asked about that. I'll show you here in a second. I think it's 9 to 13 foot storm surge. Could be a little bit more now that we have a little bit deeper pressure. Lower pressures push a little more water. Haiti and Dominican Republic, same thing. Flash flooding, landslides, isolation of communities likely. This thing continues with a lot of rain in that area. Cuba is under major hurricane possibility, 140 miles an hour nearing there. Southern and southeastern central Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, hurricane conditions. And then, of course, Bermuda's watching towards the end of the week. But this is all happening fast. I posted tropical tidbits here, hurricane hunters. They were out there right before we went live, and it was showing 800 millibar. And that, it's going to rival one of the most strongest hurricanes, at least in the Atlantic, to ever make landfall. Some of the numbers coming in from this storm are compared to Pacific storms with the core, the core base temperatures, the dryness, major hurricanes in the Pacific are usually stronger than the Atlantic. This is going to rival one of the biggest in the world when all is said and done. Here's what it looks like. It's so close to landfall now. Hurricane force winds are getting very close to the island. I posted some webcams earlier today. If you're curious, See Jamaica has them. We'll see how long they last. I can't show them during a live because I'll get copyrighted. Here's another picture, at least showing, the lightning. The lightning. When you see lightning, sometimes in past hurricanes, you used to see 1 or 2 strikes in lightning. Not what we're seeing right now. That is just unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen lightning that intense in an eye of a 180 mile an hour hurricane. Usually they should be weakening by now. Usually they're going through an eye wall replacement, but the system is so warm core. It is so organized, and there's nothing disrupting it. There's no dry air, wind shear. I mean, it's completely compact. And again, it's one of the warmest core on record, which means it's strong, and it can continue to get stronger the next couple hours or hour. It's getting close to landfall now. So some of these most serious winds are like really, really, really getting close there. I posted this morning. If you want to go back and look, there are webcams. This was at 6 in the morning. This bridge here, flat bridge, is completely underwater. I haven't looked in a while, but there are webcams, and you can access those. WeatherWise app. I talk about WeatherWise all the time. It's a free app, and you can access, I think, 10 webcams. We'll see if they're actually doing anything or not now that the storm's getting close. Here's that storm surge I talked about. A lot of people were asking me, 9 to 13 feet. Not sure how far east it's going to go. We know the east side of storm surge is bad. In fact, I want to pull up the map of I pulled up this map of the population. And give you an idea of the parishes and populations and where we're at. I thought it was a good little find yesterday. This was from the Jamaican. Let me pull it over here. There it is right there. So to give you kind of an idea, the path, let me go over here, kind of show you where we're going here. More the western side, straight across. So the St. Elizabeth Parish looks like the ones that are going to get it. 153,000 people live there. There's really no rural areas in Jamaica. St. James is a little larger, some of the bigger cities. So that's kind of where it's heading, this general direction. Latest tracks, no big surprise here. That's what we got. Hurricane warnings up for Bahamas. Parts of the Turks, Caicos might be. Bermuda's looking at a landfall likely towards the end of the week. Could be a little sneaky strong. Cat 2, maybe 80, 90, 100 mile an hour range. Going by pretty fast, but it's going to be late Thursday night into Friday morning for you all. Explain how it's turning east. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm going to read some comments. Weather modification, I don't get into any of that. There's all. I am not the guy to ask. Good morning there, all my regulars. I see you. And there's a lot of tourists there. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks of folks that are stranded. And yeah, Jesse Rice. It's Sea Jamaica. Adam, yep. Glad they were able to. They had 2 planes flying in there this morning. Lord Andrews says nobody left. Well, that's. You don't want to spread hearsay, but I have heard from 3 credible sources that there are a lot of people that stayed that were under mandatory evacuations or strongly urged to evacuate. So that we will see soon enough. I just know that from past hurricanes, we had 200 plus in Ian that passed, mainly surge, water. Of course, we know Helene, with the flooding. These are both extreme impacts that they're going to be dealing with: storm surge, flooding, and the recovery efforts. I can't even imagine, like power outages for months. Trees, there's so much vegetation there. You're gonna have hard access to these communities, and they're resilient, like we all are. I mean, they'll, it's just a matter if they have enough resources. Hopefully, they got the resources they need, ASAP to, help. I know there's a lot of disaster relief folks reaching out to me. Actually, I might actually go down. We'll see if it happens or not. I don't want to be in the way, but you might see me down there too, helping out. Like I said, we have a lot of MWPs that we've met through the years. When I started Mike's Weather Page, I was very selfish. It was only about Florida back in 2004. And I started getting folks in the Carolinas and Texas, hey, what about us? What about us? And then I opened up and said, you know what? Then I started covering so much other area that I forgot that we're in a hurricane, like when Irma was coming. I didn't even really think about the fact that we might be getting it. I was so focused on the storm. And then over the years, the Caribbean has become family to us, and folks in the Azores and Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. We got friends in Belize now, and Yucatan, and just Caymans. I mean, I know all these little islands now. And then we see people every day say hello from Jamaica. Hello, they're the ones going through this right now, and they do turn to the page for information. I had two emails from people that meant a lot to me. I didn't want to post them, but they really appreciated our coverage because they were able to get out in time and make plans. Because a lot of people weren't able to. So I did hear the Cajun Navy's down there. Yes, Jesse. I am Florida. Yep. Kimberly. Cletus. Yep. That's one I might be going with, Chuck. Cletus and I spoke yesterday, so he texted me in the morning early. They are getting worse, Renee. Everybody thinks the season's a bust. I get so tired of hearing the season's over. And we've had 3 Cat 5 hurricanes this year. I mean, just because they didn't hit you doesn't mean it wasn't an active season. 3 Cat 5s in one season, and a Cat 4. Like I said, it only takes one. If you don't get it, then you think it was a bad season. But did anybody want this to come to them? Look at Milton last year. I mean, it was in the 800s for a while, you know. These late season storms, man, they just terrible. But we've been talking about this storm forever. It seems like, man. I mean, way before even man, it was coming off Africa as a wave. I mean, crazy. Crazy. Let me show you a couple other graphics here. Let me go back to the website. We can zoom in a little bit on the current thinking and track. And they'll be doing hourly updates. There's not going to be a lot of hours left here before it makes landfall, but this is the general idea. And the winds, you know, the hurricane winds, you know, some good news is the hurricane force winds are in, you know, the orange. So the eastern side of the island won't get as much winds, but they're already getting the rains, and that's a huge problem. Already seeing flooding, you know. They're still expected 15, 20 inches of rain. But this is where we're at. This is the 5 o'clock advisory. So we're already starting to see hurricane winds. I'm sure. In fact, we can start seeing satellite imagery instantly. I mean, Zoom Earth is a great site. You can see real-time satellite imagery and where it's at. You can see that little loop-de-doop last night. Look at that crazy little loop-de-doop we had. Slow connection. Let me get it to satellite. So they're getting close to the worst. Remember, the eye is the worst. See these winds? This is the surge. This is where the surge is bad. So pretty much on the eastern side, you're going to start seeing a lot of surge. And then they did warn when the storm exits, we're going to see surge. See the arrows? We're going to see surge on the northwest side of the system as it exits the island. And that Montego Bay airport's pretty shallow, so we'll see if there's any impacts over there with storm surge. I mean, the one thing about storm surge, it doesn't last long, so it won't linger. But we'll know tomorrow morning. Maybe this afternoon. It's going to be passing through, but we'll start to see reports. And there's Starlink now. We didn't have Starlink years ago. It would have been a long time before we heard anything until people actually got down there. But we'll probably get almost real-time stuff happening with Starlink. But yeah, it's sub 900 millibar. Someone wants to ask how this happened. Let me show you what's going on because I did post this. Let me pull it up here. Right here. So this is the wind map this morning. Why did I want to post? Well, first off, I try to keep covering all weather. You know, been talking about this developing coastal low. You know, we had these storms that came through Texas 3 or 4 days ago. A lot of tornado warnings, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. We had appeared to be a tornado yesterday in Mexico Beach. I don't know why they haven't even shown a high wind yet. There's a lot of damage. We had a lot of winds here, but the coastal low exited, and there's a lot of winds right now currently across the Outer Banks, and these are wind gusts since the morning, so they're pretty feisty. I mean, these are some pretty strong winds just since midnight. But that blocking high pressure that we had for so long that kind of made Melissa linger is being pushed out, and now we have this gap. See this gap? This is being attracted to that. So as this moves out, and then we have another one coming down, it's going to even lift it even more. So this coastal low frontal line has exited the Carolinas, creating this gap, and that's temporarily turning this, and then as this moves, the gap moves with it, and then when that gap moves, it goes along that. So it's fascinating. But anytime we get that high pressure to the north, we talk about it. I talk about hurricane heat. We didn't get it because we didn't have anything up by us. But when we have this hurricane heat, people know I talk about it. That's a high pressure that's allowing something to brew. And it kind of did it for this one. It just did it farther south. But once this got moved out, it's allowed to start moving to the north. And then, like I mentioned, Bermuda. We have a lot of followers in Bermuda. I don't want to not talk about you all either. Looking at 90-mile-an-hour winds, 115-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I pull up the H-Wharf and stuff. It's showing 959, possible 960 millibars as it passes by. This is the island here. So, it looks like it's going to be close with a late Thursday night Halloween impact. But we'll talk about that here after today. Because all our energy should be focused on what's happening in Jamaica right now. And there's nothing else I can report on other than it's happening. Keisha's on there. Holy cow. Hello, Miss Keisha. I know you pop in a lot too. You're one of our regulars. So let's take a few minutes to look at some comments. And yeah, a lot of people talking about Cletus. He's a great guy, and we become kind of friends. Pressure Joy is under 900. It might be lower or higher. I don't know. It's not 896 officially. All it means is the storm's getting not weaker. How about that? The lightning is just absolutely incredible right now. Like I said, over the years, you start to spot things that you learn, and usually you don't see this long a period of lightning that we've seen. And and there it is. I mean, it's moving pretty quick now. It's not much longer. Anybody that's stuck around that has no communication, they're fixing to go through hell right now, man. This is not landfall yet, but this is current. Man, look at that lightning. It is just insane. Buzzsaw. Like, there's the morning satellite. The yellow dots are lightning. Doesn't even seem possible that it's made this. I mean, it's just that ocean heat content. Talked about it for the whole season. This ocean heat content is record heat. Right where we're at. Actually, it's not even in the hottest. I mean, look at this. Below the other, more Western Caribbean's even warmer, but it's still hot. I mean, it's hot. And, we talked about McNulty's site. We showed this a lot over the last couple weeks, just showing you the ocean heat content and how it's above normal for this time of year. It's obviously dropping now because it's feeding into this system, but before our system started taking shape, it was way above the 2013 to 24 average. So we knew there was a lot of ocean heat content down there. Helene and Milton really didn't feed into that last year, so we had record last couple of years. We really didn't have anything down there in the Caribbean feeding off of it like Melissa did. And it'll be another retired name. What's up with these M names? Michael, Milton, Melissa. But that's it. I don't know what else to say. Don't know all I can do. We talked about this forever, it seems like. Hopefully we got some good information out. I mean, there you go. And this is, I don't even know what to say. Landfall expected soon, yes. So we're going to be ready to go. I got to go on a couple news shows here, so. So yeah, one of the strongest hurricanes on record. It's broke records as far as eye wall temperature. It'll be breaking records in different ways. That's for sure. Landslide potential is it's terrible. 20 inches. I mean, here's the rain forecast still to come. I mean, it's just that this is, still could see 20, 30 inches in the highest elevations of the mountains. Even though the eastern side is not getting the winds, it's going to get 12, 16, 20 inches of rain yet to come possible. It's ongoing right now. So that's the problem, is that rain hits the mountains at the top and it all starts accumulating as it comes down, and it just starts building and building and building and building. That's the slow effect, slow impact. So, yep, most of the worst winds are small. Yep, they would usually, eye wall small, so the big winds are small. It never went through an eye wall replacement, so there's a lot of them. Big dogs, not baffled, but just history says it probably should have went through an eye wall. It's really rare to maintain a 5 this long. Usually they peak out and then they might come back. This has been a very rare. That might be another record. The longest Cat 5, maybe, and so. Anyway, so all right. Yep, See Jamaica on YouTube. They have a bunch of cameras. Look up Jonathan Petronella and Weather Chase, and they're good friends of mine. They're on the scene. I know Fox Weather has a crew. CNN's got a crew. There's a lot of news down there. No storm chasing. Heck no. I did not want to take a chance. Another country I haven't been to. I don't want to get stranded. I don't, wasn't scared of the storm as much as scared of being stranded. Nowhere to go, nowhere to eat. I don't know. No communication. Who knows? It's tough going solo. So there are a lot of people wanting to help. Yep, Kathy. Yeah, we had bad storms over here. I lost all my Halloween decorations. I almost didn't want to put it up there. I know that was probably insensitive, but y'all know you follow my shenanigans in Halloween, and I came back from driving around and my 12-foot skeleton was on the ground and all his arms were everywhere, and his broke 2 ribs. I got 2 ribs now. I gotta either glue or leave them ribless. We had a lot of stuff. We had a big burst of wind. I got a skeleton or a ladder with 2 skeletons on it. That thing blew over. So we had a heck of a wind gust here in Oldsmar. So, all right. Well, I got to go, everybody. Just know we're hopefully going to be seeing a lot of support down that way. That's one thing we've learned with hurricanes is neighbors helping neighbors. There's going to be a lot of folks trying to help. That's the number one thing I've learned from storms. There's always help. And that's the one thing that really is a bright spot that I've learned over the years. There's help, and there'll be a lot of outpouring guaranteed. All right, so we'll be live tomorrow, and we'll talk about it, and it'll still be going on tomorrow. We'll still have to be talking about it tomorrow. It'll be crossing through and heading to new areas. All right, so that's it for me, everybody. Chad Robbins over there. Yeah, I bet you're going. I was going to ask you, buddy. Good. We have a good friend, Chad Robbins, Mountain to Sea Ministries. He's going down to help. Good for you, buddy. I meant to text you last night.